Tonight, making improvements to the famous Yorkie crossing for long-haul drivers. And Port Lincoln's famous long lunch raises some delicious dollars for children's charity.
This is Southern Cross News with Alison Drower.
Thanks for your company tonight, and as usual for a Monday, a complete wrap of the weekend footy, including that big win by Central over Port. But first, council crews have spent the day at the boat ramp in Port Pirie today, weighing up the damage caused to one of the pontoons after the wild and windy conditions. Keziah Sullivan has more details.
The Port Pirie boat ramp has received another blow.
Unfortunately, over the weekend, one of the pontoons has been damaged. We're investigating what's caused the damage.
It appears the end of the pontoon has been smashed by wild weather over the weekend, but council are hopeful the damage is minimal.
We're going to get a contractor to come in and remove the pontoon as soon as they can, and then we'll look at going through the process of probably having to replace the pile and the damaged sections of pontoon.
It's another setback for the $2 million project, which hasn't had a smooth sail so far.
In terms of overall dollars, it could be anywhere between $20,000 and $50,000.
Meanwhile, the foreshore project next to the boat ramp is coming along nicely.
Irrigation's been ordered and our guys are programmed to do that installation over the next couple of weeks, and then the turf will be installed.
The council hopes to have the space completed by the end of the financial year. Stakeholders in the community are already putting forward their suggestions for the area.
We want to make sure the space is open to be used and not build too much infrastructure so that it can be an open park area.
Keziah Sullivan, Southern Cross News.
A group of Arrium shareholders is calling on the administrators to recapitalise the company and prevent it from going into foreign hands. Arrium Shareholders United says the business is profitable again, but the administrators have some doubts about the long-term viability of most of the ideas.
Since going into administration, it's long been considered a formality Arrium will be sold. Two foreign steelmakers, Korea's POSCO and Britain's Liberty House, are currently bidding for the company which runs the Wireless Steelworks. But a group of shareholders say Arrium is strong enough to be reborn, thanks to a resurgence in steel and ore prices.
And we believe the metrics that forced the company into voluntary administration in April no longer apply 13 months later.
Mr Dadge and 700 shareholders have formed Arrium Shareholders United. They've submitted a bid which would see control return to them, with a new board and a new CEO, who they claim will work for nothing. Furthermore, they'll negotiate with the banks to refinance the company's $2 billion debt to them.
The outstanding debt is only $500 million. The four big banks could easily refinance the outstanding debt.
But their plan has been rejected by the administrators. In a statement, Mark Mentha says the company's debt, along with volatile commodity and electricity prices, mean it's unviable to reboot. He also says the shareholders' plan did not meet a number of requirements, and the creditors' committee has backed the current strategy. Mr Dadge says creditors should think long and hard about the best interests of the company before approving a sale.
Rational people are just lining up to say, well, why are we doing this? The reasons that existed in April last year no longer apply.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
After years of lobbying from cattle producers, the state government has announced an upgrade for Yorkie's crossing outside of Port Augusta. The upgrade will include an uncoupling yard for triple road trains, allowing trucks to travel on roads south of the city.
15 years of lobbying and cattle transporters in SA and the Northern Territory will finally have the efficiency and safety they need. The Yorkie Crossing intersection outside of Port Augusta will be fitted with a decoupling yard and a cattle transfer pod to easily travel south.
They aren't able to go beyond Port Augusta with that configuration, so there's the requirement then to break up the trucks and transship the cattle across into the smaller B-double type configurations.
CEO of the NT Cattlemen Association says transferring cattle at Yorkie's Crossing in its current state is unsafe.
Created some issues not only for animal welfare but also some driver safety issues. There hasn't been the appropriate infrastructure in place to ensure that the flow of cattle from one truck to another truck, can be done in as safe as manner as possible.
Member for Stuart Dan van Holst Pelican says he's been lobbying for the upgrade for years.
People desperately want is the opportunity for wide loads, for extra heavy loads to be able to go around the outside of Port Augusta. They also want the opportunity for everybody who needs to use an all-weather Yorkeys Crossing.
While Dan says the upgrade is positive, he'd like to see Yorkeys Crossing Road completely sealed. Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
Well, the final design concepts for the Broken Hill Archives has been unveiled and it's all positive. The design team's director says they didn't get one negative comment, so the project is now ready to go to the next stage.
Unlocking Broken Hill's past and putting it on display.
What we're bringing to life is the history that's been locked up in the archives will become real and meaningful for the people of Broken Hill.
These drawings show what the city can expect to see if the archives project goes ahead.
We met with all sorts of people, the staff of the customer service area, the archives users and staff, also the managers and a whole lot of other stakeholders, and everyone, from what I could see, was really happy with it.
The archives are being moved to the Council Administrative Centre after $3 million was donated by the BHP Billiton Foundation. The ground floor space will have plenty of modern features.
It's immersive walls, interactive touch screens, interactive touch tables, making use of digital media and connectivity.
Creating a digital experience for the city's archives will benefit not only tourists but also Broken Hill residents and council staff, with a large store area in the basement to house artefacts. The building's exterior will also benefit from some landscaping.
We have decided on a very bold interpretation of the brief, and that's to create a very exciting, immersive, engaging space for both residents of Broken Hill and ratepayers, of course, and for tourists.
The design will now be finalised and costed, with a report to be considered at Council's meeting in June. Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Still to come tonight, Whyalla Council lets us know some more details on what developers want to do with a prime piece of public land. That's next on Southern Cross News. Welcome back. Developers have pitched the idea of a new solar project to be based in Whyalla as part of South Australia's 100 megawatt solar battery. Member for Giles, Eddie Hughes, says there are two proposals in front of council on how to maximise the use of a large piece of public land in Whyalla.
Last week, Southern Cross News reported Whyalla Council was consulting residents on the future of a piece of land near the Whyalla substation. Whyalla Council's Andre Stoit revealed there was interest from developers.
Projects that have the potential for significant economic outcomes and also employment generation for the Whyalla region should be given robust consideration.
State MP Eddie Hughes says the land could potentially host a portion of the state government's 100 megawatt renewable battery.
SSE, who are currently building the solar projects across the road, so they put in an expression of interest as part of the state government's 100 megawatt battery.
Also on the agenda is an ambitious horticulture project. Using solar generation, greenhouses would be climatically controlled, growing a number of food products in arid conditions. Mr. Hughes says a smaller pilot program would be constructed first and would be expanded if successful.
We will see a very big expansion on another parcel of land, so there'll be ongoing jobs.
Council is still consulting with the public on the future of the site, which is designated as open space. Mr. Hughes says while he understands Council's position, time is critical with these investors.
Enable us to nurture these projects, to have a really good look at it and do all that we can to speed the process up.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Broken Hill Police are hoping the public can help them find the person or people who slashed the tyres on 5 parked cars outside the footy club in Burke Street on the weekend. Sometime between 7:15 and 8:15 p.m. on Saturday night, the cars were damaged as patrons enjoyed their night inside. And if you do have any information, please let Crime Stoppers know by calling 1800 333 000. Well, getting your flu or tetanus shot could be as easy as popping down to the local chemist soon. Pharmacists will soon be able to carry out vaccinations after changes to regulations around prescriptions.
Getting your annual flu shot will now be a whole lot easier. The state government announced last week that all pharmacists will be able to administer several vaccines through their stores.
When we saw this opportunity to be able to expand our services, we're absolutely thrilled to jump on board straight away.
With the additional healthcare facility, it's hoped the pressure on local GPs will be reduced and more patients will be inclined to get vaccinated.
In Australia, the vaccination rate is still pretty low, even for the recommended annual influenza.
For the past 2 years, pharmacists across the region have been receiving training to be able to carry out the extra responsibility.
On top of the annual influenza, we're going to get diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, polio, measles, mumps and rubella.
And Dr. Long says it could be as easy as walking in and receiving your jab, but he is also encouraging people to call ahead and book in.
And then we can make sure that we have the vaccinations ready for you. And then vaccination will take between 10 to 15 minutes in store.
Applications for the pharmacies opened last Thursday and Priceline here in Port Pirie jumped on the opportunity. The new vaccination facility should be up and running within the next month.
Yeah, we already have everything in place, all the facilities in place to fulfill the requirements. So we're just waiting for the approval, official approval from SA Health.
Keziah Sullivan, Southern Cross News.
One of Broken Hill's most glamorous nights is definitely going ahead in June. The Royal Flying Doctor Service Ball will move to the White House Convention Centre in the city south after the Civic Centre had to close due to some issues with the new facilities. You can find out more details on tickets on the RFDS Broken Hill Facebook page. Well, one of Port Lincoln's best events on the calendar has more than likely left a few locals feeling a little overindulged after the weekend. The annual Port Lincoln Long Lunch attracted big crowds for the best in local food and wine and entertainment, and it was all for a great cause as well.
The music played, the drinks flowed, and the town dressed up for the longest lunch of the year.
It's a great celebration of not only the incredible food that we have here, but also the drinks, the wine that's created here, or the beer in this case, and also our local musicians. So it's a celebration of all of that together in one afternoon.
The annual Port Lincoln Food and Wine Festival kicked off in high spirits, guests eager to taste what venues had on offer. It's the first time the event featured 7 different locations. The new spots a little overwhelmed by the turnout.
It's something I haven't actually made it to before either, so everyone said hold on to your hats, it's a huge day, so we're just winging it.
Patrons travelled from far and wide, some making the journey across from Adelaide, while locals soaked up the full experience.
Today's about having good fun and just going to each venue.
It's just a great concept, from simple beginnings, simple idea, fantastic event.
Wristbands allowed patrons to travel by bus to fully indulge in the celebrations, while the proceeds from the day went towards children's variety.
Being that we're the children's charity, they're actually getting out, having a good time and supporting kids at the same time.
The long lunch continues to go from strength to strength with more venues taking part than ever before, showcasing the finest of what the Eyre Peninsula has to offer.
Have some good food and to just, I guess, celebrate being a community.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Stay with us. Up next, fans of the mighty Port footy side still shaking their heads over the loss to Central on the weekend. Your footy wrap is next on Southern Cross News. Welcome back. It is time to talk a little bit of footy, with a few teams feeling the pain of a loss and others enjoying the thrill of beating the favourites. Let's go to Amelia Simpson in Port Augusta now. And no one tipped the outcome of the Port versus Central game. A real shock.
That's right, Ali. Port has been the definite favourite this season, but the tables took a dramatic turn on the weekend when Central rose from the bottom of the ladder to thrash Port. Both teams were neck and neck in the first and second quarters, but Central leapt ahead during the last 2. Central's Jack Muirhead snagged 8 for his team as Central's kicked 16 goals to 9 on their way to a big win. Whether it's a sign of things to come, Central Augusta is still sitting at the bottom of the SGL ladder. For Port, it would have been a sorry ride home as they fell behind the rest of the top four. Further across the league, the Solomon Town Cats scraped in a win against West Augusta by just 3 points on Saturday. And continuing close calls in the SGL, a 5-2 final term wasn't enough for Prop Risdon, who lost a close one against South. The Bulldogs came away with a narrow 66-57 victory. In Whyalla, Waroona Bay had an upset, a 63-point win over an injury-plagued Central Roosters. The Tigers' Cade Gale-Jones securing the win with 6 goals there as well. West Whyalla thrashed Rapina by 98 points, and in a close one on Sunday, North edged South Whyalla 47-34. And in the Port Lincoln Football League, Marble Range didn't kick a goal after half-time but managed to steal the show against Lincoln South. Probably the biggest win of the weekend, Mallee Park had a massive 201 points to 8 win over struggling Tasman, with Dean Miller bagging 7 goals for the winners. Meanwhile, the Tigers just couldn't hold up against Wayback, who ran away with a comfortable 50-point win. And some big wins all around from Broken Hill, with South and North having comfortable wins over West and Central respectively. In the NAFL, Orroroo, Broughton and Crystal Brook all had big wins. And finally, on the York Peninsula, Wallaroo had a 41-point win over Butte. Kadina were too strong for Ardrossan. The Crows doubled Baskerville's score on their way to a win, while Moonta edged out Central York. So, Ali, a lot of big wins and big losses around the region this week, and a lot of the leagues aren't even halfway through their season, so we'll just have to see how the rest of it plays out.
Thanks so much for that, Amelia. And making a pit stop in Port Augusta over the weekend was a bunch of fun-loving rev heads, all part of the annual Shitbox Rally, excuse the French. The rally is on its way from Adelaide to Cairns and is the biggest independent fundraiser for the Cancer Council. The rally rules are pretty clear. The cars must be worth $1,000 or less as teams contest some of the country's toughest roads. Rally driver Catherine Ferris is on her 4th event, and she says she's being driven by the memory of her late mum, as well as a friend who lost her battle against cancer.
That's why we do it. That's why everyone is here doing what we do, is to raise money so that, you know, those people like myself and Sal's family doesn't have to go through that, you know.
And some great weather ahead for a road trip. If you do have the time, we will check all the details of tomorrow's forecast right after the break. Well, that cooler change definitely did the trick to end the run of milder conditions, and today a few lingering showers. A little overcast at times for temps of around 18 or 19. We should see more sunshine tomorrow. Adelaide today, though, had a rainy Monday for around 17. The satellite is showing bands of low cloud responsible for those showers. Some high cloud in the northwest corner, not causing too much rain, and a high will have more of an impact in the coming days. On the water tomorrow, the day will start off with winds from the west, but a southerly change is forecast on 15 to 20 knots by the afternoon. Seas will be up to 1.5 metres on a south to southwesterly swell. Sunrise is at 7:14, sunset at 5:19. Tomorrow's temps will again see us having to acclimatise to the run into winter. 17 for Port Augusta, Whyalla and Broken Hill. Clare will be our coldest centre tomorrow for a sunny 5 to 13, and Adelaide will see rain clearing for 16. To the 4-day outlooks, and Port Lincoln, Cleve and Woodner are all heading for a lovely week of clear skies, but a few cold starts amongst that, with some frost on Thursday and Friday. Whyalla will shake off the last of the showers for some sunshine, and 17 for the first day of winter on Thursday. Port Augusta will have a similar pattern of weather, and Kadina will also get a consistent 17 degrees through to the weekend. And in Port Pirie, from tomorrow through to Friday, some gorgeous days, but again cold at night and frost in the morning. Clare will almost make it to 20 on Friday, and Broken Hill is forecast to get plenty of sunshine, but cooler on Wednesday for just 14 degrees. Well, that is all your local news and weather for this Monday night. Don't forget you can stay up to date on Facebook and Twitter with any breaking news. And if there is something you'd like to see again, make sure you check out our YouTube channel. Tim Hatfield returns from some leave tomorrow night, and thanks for your company over the past week. On behalf of the entire news team here at Southern Cross, enjoy the rest of your night.